Hello, today is a session to make an assessment of yet another poem of the American poet Ralph Waldo Emerson, and the poem is entitled The Problem. As the title suggests, it is about a problem, and the problem is in the thought that emerges in the mind of the poet who, when he looks at the church and he looks at a churchman, he has a conflict in his mind. He is divided as to whether he is being attracted towards the church, the cowl, the dress that a churchman wears, or the whole personality of the prophet. And this conflict should be coming in our minds as well. There is a note of universality in the mind of a person who doesn't believe in what the preceding generations have given him, who do not have faith on the faith conferred on him by others, but is making a faith all by himself. So let us see the problem, the poem, which is about a problem which comes in the mind of the poet, and we will also see if this has a relevance to any kind of dilemma that might prop up in our own minds as well. The poem begins with the assertion, I like a church, I like a cowl, I love a prophet of the soul. So the poet very frankly submits right in the beginning that he likes a church. The structure of the church attracts him, and he also likes the dress, the white dress worn by a priest. And he also says that he loves a prophet of the soul. Here is where comes the problem. The church is a physical existence. The cowl is again a physical appearance. But the soul that dwells in all, which is invisible, attracts more from the poet. It is not just a liking that he has for the church or that he has for a cowl. It is much beyond that. He loves the prophet. The prophet is a seer, is a giver of a very ulterior kind. So he loves the prophet of the soul. What he is more magnetized with is not the physical existence of the church or the cowl. It is more the soul, the magnetism of the soul, which he says should be a greater cause of his attraction towards it. And then he furthers the idea and says, and on my heart monastic airs fall like sweet strains or pensive smiles. So, just by casting a look upon the church or the churchman or the monastic aisles are the buildings, the conical projections, the high buildings of the churches, they fall on his heart. Now we'll have to understand, why does he use the word fall? The fall is suggestive of either a pressing impact. They press an impact, they cast a heavy impact upon his heart, or it could mean that they are reflected. They, without his liking or disliking it, like when the waters are bare, thus sky automatically casts its reflection upon the water. So he says that since his heart is bare, since his heart is ready to take impressions from the outside world, he says that on this heart the monastic ales fall like sweet strains. See the alliterative expression here. They are like a music, they cause a music to emerge from his heart. And sometimes he becomes thoughtful and he smiles at it. He smiles at the monastic ales standing out as if cajoling him to take him into themselves. So then he plunges, then he experiences, then he shows pensive smiles as well. And then there is a shift in the tone. The first four lines are about the attraction that this is causing. He begins the fifth line with a shift in tone. Yet, not for all his faith can see, would I that cowled churchman be. So there is a conviction, there is a determination that this churchman who is standing out and is looking at him with an anticipation or maybe a blank look that he is giving, but by his personality that is charming the poet confirms that not for anything, not even for the faith that this cowled churchman is having, he would not be that cowled churchman. So here is the problem. We are enchanted by things. They touch our hearts by their beauty, by their innocence, by their faith, a pure attraction. But still, we are determined not to do that. We will further on try to make an assessment. Why does he, despite all his faith for that church and the churchman, would he not dress up himself as a cowled churchman? There is a gap, and then he says, why should the West on him allure, which I could not on me endure? This is the problem. The West, the dress that the churchman is wearing, the poet asks himself, why is this alluring? Why is this enticing and enchanting, mesmerizing me? Why does this mesmerize me, which I could not on me endure? So the two opposites, allure and not endure, this is the problem. They are alluring him and he cannot endure that. In this small 8-line structure, beginning of the poem, we are introduced to Emerson's faith, his special school of thought, that is transcendentalism, in which he puts before us an exalted conception of the human intellect. Human intellect is capable of every fine perception. And then we perceive things as they are, but the intellect then operates upon our perception to tell us whether we should go in with that or whether we should make a decision all by ourselves. So for Emerson, intellect within each human soul is divine. We are all potential gods, or gods in ruins, as he himself put in once. We are also God in ruins. When we see someone similar to us, we are naturally attracted. but then the God within us, the God is with the small g, this potent factor within us, within our existence, rises up, surfaces up to make a decision whether we would be taken as a physical entity just towards the church or towards the prophet, or we are an intellectual entity that would decide for ourselves what we are going to do. We will continue with this in the second session. Just make a contemplation. Americans have given to us a, a, a device or a food for thought kind of thing where we have to make choices. Things may attract, but we are the choosers of our own destiny. So we'll continue in the next session. Thank you for today.